As a home service professional, it's important for me to be able to communicate with my customers in a way that provides them value. And that value, in a lot of ways, has to come with something tangible. That is something that the homeowner can actually touch, feel, or reference to. And of course, there's a number of things that we can do for our customers to make that happen. But one of the most effective ways that we have been able to implement this in SOS Garage Door Service is the use of a diagnostic safety report or a checklist. That's basically what it is. Now, the ability to be able to utilize a specific checklist is phenomenal because, again, you're able to take your expertise and transmit it to your customer in a way that shows that you have authority. But more importantly, it gives them something to ponder on. That is, now they have all the information with regards to their garage door or their HVAC system or their plumbing. And that report of sorts, that checklist, it empowers them to make a decision. And so I just want to show you how in Jobber we are able to create those job forms, diagnostic reports. We're here in the Jobber app right now. And so what I'd like to do is basically go into where we had shown you in the last video where you can go into settings and you're going to click settings right there. And it's going to show you all of these great business management, team organization, client communication. What I want to focus on first is the job forms under the team organization menu right there. So here we have now job forms. And as you can see in job forms, you are able to create a form from scratch. And it says forms can be used on every scheduled visit when you attach them to a job. So real quick, whenever we work with our customers, we specifically ask them, one of the things that we ask them whenever they say, can I get a price on, it's funny, whenever someone tells me that, I know that we have not done business with them because in essence, there's no trust yet. What they're specifically looking for is like, all right, is this guy going to take me to the cleaners? Are they going to overcharge me? Are they going to cheat me? And so when I hear someone say that, when a customer calls me, especially a new customer, I will specifically ask them, it doesn't sound like we've done business before, right? And they're going to say, no, I don't think we have. So at that point, now I have established a foundation to be able to say, this is how we work. What we do is we can provide you an actual diagnostic safety consultation visit. It's one of the ways that we're able to have the customer put skin in the game because we actually charge for this diagnostic consultation. Sometimes they'll then ask me, well, I thought you said estimates were, or on your website it says estimates are free. Yes, the estimates are free, but the diagnostic consultation to be able to provide you an estimate is not free. And at that point, I will know what type of customer they're going to be. If they're going to say, yeah, no, I don't want to do that, they'll exit out. Or if they do want to continue, then I know they're my customer because again, the customer has to have skin in the game. In other words, they have to be able to understand that before they can fix their problem, they have to understand everything about the ins and outs of a garage door system. And that's why sometimes when a contractor or a customer will call a contractor and the contractor says, yeah, it's going to be this price without seeing the door, I think that's a disservice. So again, in Jobber, you're going to have the ability to be able to make these job forms. You're going to have the ability to be able to understand first everything that your specific customer needs in order for them to rectify their issue. And that's what I want to highlight for you in this video because in essence, you want to think, how can I utilize this tool for my home service business? And actually, it's going to fit in all businesses. So at this point, we can now create basically a new job form. And so we'll do that right there. This new job form will structure in a way that you're able to add sections. So we have one that we like to use. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of all of it, but I'm just going to show you how we can actually add a section which will be a header for specific issues or specific needs to whatever aspect of the home service business services that you provide. Now, I'm going to speak to the garage door contractors out there, but just kind of keep in mind of what we're trying to accomplish here based on what the purpose of this video is. So for this section, this header will specifically talk about aspects of the door, which will be structural. Make sure I spell that right. And of course, you you're going to have spell check come in. And so, okay, that looks like it's good right there. So under structural, all of the questions that I'm going to add will have a specific purpose. Now, the first question will, oh, and here's a nice thing about Jobber. When you ask those questions, it's going to provide you an option of a checkbox, short answer, long answer, drop down images, date picker, number, signature. Oh man, there's so much again that you can do in here. We're not going to get into all of it, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to do a drop down, okay? In this question, we're going to ask, how is the condition of the garage door sections / panels? Okay, so that's the question right there. And at this point, what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to kind of provide a pass, fail, or maybe like a not applicable, or perhaps maybe, you know, there's no door, you know, option. And this is the reason, because whenever we're able to provide a tangible answer, something that they're going to see based on the expertise that we provide them, well, that's going to be very profound. We're going to say good, we're going to say bad, or we're going to say fair, actually. And then what I'd like to add here is basically something that says visible wear and tear, okay? And then the last option here will be poor. Okay, so I kind of jumped a little bit ahead of myself, but basically now we have the options there, okay? We can either add another option like you saw in this portion of the video. I added the option of putting the answer of poor. And we can even click it to where this is required. In other words, in our Jobber form, it's not going to allow us to pass or complete the form until we've answered this question. So that's pretty important. I like to put that option on all of the questions that I have in my diagnostic safety report. So we're going to add another question. And here's where I really should have started with. And this question is, again, actually, no, it's not going to be a checkbox, so I want to get rid of that. So this question will be a drop down. And I think drop downs are kind of intuitive because they basically just provide, you know, just the facts. Good, fair, poor, pass, fail, not applicable in specific circumstances, like maybe you just don't have a garage door there, or the system is missing, or whatever the case may be. So the first question I actually have on my own report is, how is the garage door balance? And then you can probably put in parentheses, perform balance test. Okay, so they know that this is an action that you actually did. You perform the balance test, and you know whatever the balance is of the garage door, whether you're going to pass it, fail it, or again, maybe there's not a situation where you can't even test it. So here's the issue, or I should say, here's the option. We're going to do pass, and then we'll click here fail. All right, and basically when you check the balance to a garage door, you lift the garage door at a specific height, and it should stay there. Usually it stays at the 3-foot level, the 5-foot level, and the 7-foot level, or at the turn of each section. You know, however you test it, the idea is that wherever the garage door opens, that's where it should stay. So we can put fail there. And then the last option, again, is going to be NA, not applicable, and we'll basically say no door, or missing door, or, you know, missing system. Right? It's just, in other words, you can't, because again, we're going to require that this question be answered. So you can't move on unless you give some sort of tangible or some sort of specific task, or I should say answer to it. So again, we're going to click required, and then we're going to add another question. So you can tell that this can actually get pretty intricate. It can get really specific, but it's definitely going to be very valuable. It's going to provide a number of great information for your customer to be able to understand. Like in our specific case, we ask about, for example, what are the conditions of the hinges? What are the conditions of the rollers? You can do that in an actual drop-down option like we showed you. In the case of, for example, what type of springs do they have? Or what type of rollers do they have? Well, we'll put basically, like, for example, we'll do that right now. We'll add a question. It'll be a short answer. And the question will be, what type of garage door rollers does the garage door use or have or whatever, right? What type of garage door rollers are currently installed? You can think of the options that, you can think of the verbiage or the specific question based on your needs and how you approach the garage door. The short answer will be black plastic rollers, nylon bearing rollers, Duraleft 6200 ZZ rollers, whatever the case. The answer, again, will provide tangible information. It's going to provide a lot of information so the customer can say, oh, okay, that's the type of rollers I got. Very good. And the list goes on. The list goes on. So there you have your short answer that you would specifically use in the case, like, for example, springs. What size of springs are on this garage door? 207, 1 3/4 25s, 225, 2-inch by 30s. The possibilities are endless, and that's what I'm trying to highlight in this video. That specifically, again, will give your customer just a lot of great value and how you're able to provide them that value in a very structured way. Now, say for example, and so I've just given you some information here. This will specifically, like I'll do it to maybe the physical aspect of the door, then the mechanical aspect of the door, like how it functions. And then we'll go into the electrical aspect of the garage door operator, and some other miscellaneous information that will pertain to how the customer can then make a decision. Because usually, if the garage door is good, but the garage door operator is bad, well, then they can make a decision on the operator. Or perhaps maybe both are bad, bad sections, bad garage door operator, but the springs still work, the rollers are still okay. You might want to think about, okay, what makes more sense? Do you want to throw good money into a bad system or a bad operator? You got to take those things into account. So the whole point of that was basically, now we want to add a specific section. So in this section, I'm basically going to talk about the, let's just say the mechanical, hardware, and torsion or spring system or something like that. And so here I like to give a lot of details with regards to the type of springs, whether the cycle life is high, whether they're not properly rated for the garage door. I can think in a lot of ways what I'm trying to do is in this section is be able to understand or provide information so the customer can understand what they're dealing with. And so a question that I like to put in this section, and I'll show you here with a drop-down feature. Okay, so the question is, what is the condition? Oh, I can't type today. Is the condition of the garage door cables? Now, this is important because a lot of people don't understand that the cables to a garage door system are vital for its function. In fact, it's a huge safety concern because I have seen in a lot of cases frayed cables to a garage door system, and those cables, when they tend to fray, I mean, it's just like a ticking time bomb. Something can go really wrong. So in this case, we could say something like good condition, or good. We can say fair condition, visible wear and tear, right? So what does that mean? Basically, they don't look frayed and, they don't look bad, but, you can tell that they're older. And then here we go. We're going to do one more option. We're going to do poor condition. Frayed cables. And then I'll put requires immediate attention. Again, ticking time bomb when you think about garage door cables because they are connected to the bottom brackets that connect, obviously, cables on the bottom, connected to the drums on the torsion spring system. Yeah, if those cables go wonky, if they go bad, if that fraying under all of that tension breaks, that door is going to have a number of problems. And you can even add on some other features right there. You can be like missing cables, tangled cables. The point is that It's just really good value, or I should say really good information, valuable information for the customer. Another question that we have under that portion is, what is the condition of the torsion tube? And so if I'm thinking about the torsion tube, I want to make sure that my torsion tube is straight. I want to make sure that it's not rusted. I want to make sure that it doesn't have any problems, like perhaps maybe a pinched tube, or parts that are pinched that are just, really damaging. I have seen some torsion tubes sheared. In other words, they've turned so much on the end bearing plates that they'll just shear off or just cut off. Same on the center bearing, same on the center anchor. The possibilities are endless, but the ability that you have to be able to communicate specific information about the customer is just going to go a long way. Last but not least, let's just add one more section. And this section, again, is going to be for the actual motor system. So we're going to say the operator, and we'll basically say system function and safety. Now this is big, because what I like to do under this section is I like to ask, and we're going to do a drop down. We'll look at one of the questions. I like to ask specifically about what type of garage door operator we're dealing with. So we can say, what type of garage door operator does the customer own? Okay, so we can go into the options. We can go into a chain drive, right? Chain drive. We can go into a belt drive, right? We even have the option of a screw drive, right? Screw drive. And then we can even add the option of a wall mount, jack shaft, can't spell shaft, or direct drive. Finally, if the property itself is kind of older, or maybe the customer was just opening the door by hand manually, I will just put NA, no operator, or missing operator, or you can say missing GDO, missing garage door operator. And so you can just imagine that based off of that question, then you can start asking questions like, what's the make and model? What year is the operator? What is the condition of the operator? What is the condition of the gear sprocket assembly? What is the condition of the belt drive, or the belt assembly, the belt kit, the chain kit? Oh man, you can just, again, just offer so much information just based off of that question. And if you wanted to do, like, say, for example, a short answer in there, or yeah, let's do one of the short answers. What is the garage door operator make and make and model? So that would be a short answer right there that we would want to modelo, not Modelo. That's weird. Who wants a Modelo right now? Anyways, so you have that right there, and so you have that question. Beautiful. I think as we've gone down this list, we've opened up the opportunity to be able to think in terms of how the specific job forms will benefit not just your customer, but I think it's also going to benefit us as professionals to be able to master our craft in a way that we're going to be able to look at specific information, and we're going to hone in on something or a specialty that we excel in. For example, when I provide this information, I love to be able to ask the question when it comes to the garage door operator. I ask, one of the question is, what is the condition of the safety reversing sensors? So I know that if they're good, fair, visible wear and tear, or poor, hey, safety reversing sensors. That puts a trigger in the customer's head. They say, oh, I have a safety issue with my garage door operator. Here's another question that I put on there. How does the garage door operator respond after the safety reversing test. Now that's a big one, because basically the safety reversing test, this is something that we've seen on YouTube where people will try and do this test. As the garage door starts to close, they'll hit it. No, that's not the test, or that's not the proper way to do the test. Normally you put a 2x4 on the floor, garage door closes on it, and if it senses something, resistance as it closes, the safety reversing feature should come right back up. Well, that test alone, oh man, that has done wonders for me. I love the fact that I'm able to provide that information to the customers, and we don't just do the test once, we do it several times, and when it fails, man, it gives them something to think about. And the truth is, that test alone on this safety report has generated a lot of jobs for me. So I just feel like this is an untapped benefit that can really step up the game for our home service business. And I didn't even get through every aspect of this job form, because in reality, what I want you to do is be able to find how this can fit in your workflow, how this can fit in your home service business. Of course, you're able to try Jobber for free. I'll have a link in the description. But just think about where you're at right now with regards to how you're able to provide a tangible service, a tangible option for your customers, and they are benefiting from your expertise. Because again, when someone calls you and they ask for a price, remember, there's just no trust between you and them. They don't know who you are. They don't know how you work. They don't know what you can provide them. And if you just give them the price, it's like you're telling them that you really don't care about their needs. It's like when you go to the doctor and he says, we're going to skip your blood work and we're just going to go straight into surgery. What do you think? And that's crazy. No one would do that. You want to be able to understand every ins and out of your specific HVAC, electrical system, plumbing, garage door. You want to know all that information before making a sound decision, before knowing what you really want to do. And job forms within the Jobber app is definitely going to do that for you. After it's all said and done, you can save this. Oh, we have to call this job form. We're going to say, Jobber wins me jobs. You're not going to call it that, but you can call it anything like that, or you can say safety report in-home inspection. You can put any type of term or title for it. Last but not least, basically when you create we're going to create a job. So we'll create a job, right? And in here, what you can do, and I'm just going to show you, when you create the job, you put all this information, and you see this portion right here where it says job forms, boom. Jobber wins me jobs, safety report, in-home inspection, or inspection is what I put, I don't know why. Trying to talk and record this video at the same time, but the gist is we have it already in the system. You can connect this to the job. When you set it up within your schedule, you get to the appointment. In the Jobber app, it's going to allow you to go into it so that way you're able to do that report. It's such a fantastic tool. It has upped my game. It has allowed me to win more jobs than before not having the safety inspection report or the diagnostic consultation report. I can't speak enough about it. Of course, Jobber does sponsor this video. Again, the link below is a free trial. I believe that this is one way that as home service professionals is just going to up our game versus the guy who's just a chuck in the truck. So definitely want to be able to transmit that information. And if you are interested in learning more about how you can brand your business, how you can grow your business, get your first customers, check out this video right here that's going to have a lot of information. As always, I want to thank you all for partying with me. Y'all stay safe.